All right. Good evening, everybody. I thank you all for attending. There's a couple more in the waiting room. So I'm reading a document, so I'm not looking right at you. I'd like to welcome you to the board meeting this evening for the Philadelphia Folksong Society. I'm pleased that at last glance there were about 70 people that were joining us, and I think that's great. A couple of things just before we get rolling. First of all, I would like to call this meeting to order so that we are in at least properly. The meeting is now in order and is functioning. And the first order of business for me is I want to welcome you and offer a huge thanks to our community of volunteers who have helped us get out of the old office and venue and everything that we needed into the new office and venue, and this was done 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So those of you that put your blood, sweat, tears, and also your credit cards involved in that, because a lot of that was selling off merchandise and stuff, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to those folks who purchased memberships in the last month, especially those who joined for the first time, I thank you because you are our lifeblood, and we are so grateful of that, especially in this weird transition time when you're buying memberships and you don't quite know what you're getting. And it's a vote of confidence, and I really appreciate that. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to have a vote to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Everybody on the board has seen the minutes. Just about everybody had some input in putting them together. So if somebody would like to call that motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
And you see me?
Yes.
I can't see you.
Okay, but thank you. The motion has passed. The minutes have been accepted. Thank you all. All right. A couple of things moving on. We would do an update from the secretary. Wendy is not here tonight. She had a conflict that she had a conflict. And so here's the basics on the venue move. I did write this out, so forgive me, because I'm completely brain dead, people, so I'm not going to improvise much. With the help of our community volunteers, we cleaned out and moved all of our remaining belongings to the new storage space and office in Glenside. We sold a crap ton of merchandise, and we sold a few items that were needing to be sold as well. And thank you for those people who bought that, but we made about $20,000 from the sale of merchandise and related stuff alone.
Yay!
Combining that with new and renewing memberships and some unsolicited donations, we made about $22,000 in 2 weeks. That is unfreaking believable. Thank you all so much who bought stuff. I have some stuff. I'm wearing a shirt. Please, I want to thank in particular some of the folks who were at the venue during the sale and came early and helped out. And I know I'm going to miss some folks here, but I want to thank Ann McNiff. I want to thank Nina Solinar, Julie Leinhauser. My name's on there. Charlotte Hummel, Rick Miller, Al Powell, Jim Weingartner, Jack Marquez, Steve Pittenger, and the whole crew who came to help sort archives. And we don't seem to have all of your names, including Elisa Kraut, who, as a professional archivist, was here to help us. And of course, our archives queen, Trish Hurley Callahan, without whom none of this stuff would have taken place. So thanks to all of you. If we did not mention you when you were there working hard, I apologize. You all have our heartfelt thanks for getting this move to happen. It seemed like an impossible task, but we got it done. Tammy Taylor, who I know is on this call, did a walkthrough with the property owner this week. And the reports were that they're very happy with the condition of the place. And we expect to get our security deposit back. Shout out to Cami for all the help she has done negotiating contracts for us. Cami, did you want to add anything to that? Is that correct?
Somebody needs to unmute her.
I'm unmuted. No, that's correct. I have nothing else to add, but thank you
Thank-
for the shout out.
And thank you for being there to make sure they did that. Appreciate it. So that's good news. And by the way, I have no idea what the security deposit is, but you know, it is what it is. We'll get it. We'll get it.
Probably at least 1 month.
Yeah, it's gonna at least 1 month. It might be first and last, and I don't know whether it was 1,800 or whether it was 1,700 at that point. But you know what it is. It is what it is. Whatever it is good news. Okay, the storage space and the eventual office space is located in Glenside, Pennsylvania, suburb of Philadelphia, about 15 minutes from Mount Airy. Major thanks to Jan Hoffman, who brokered the deal for us. She got us this space, and this space is rent-free for a year. We have to pay utilities. We're paying insurance anyway. We're just doing a certificate of insurance on that. And we are just so pleased that she brokered this, and big thank you, Jan. She works with these property owners. We are giving them a letter, either monthly or quarterly, about the in-kind donation of the rent. That they are supporting a struggling nonprofit, and they can use that on their taxes. It's an amazing deal, and it's a great space. Mostly it's storage, and that's what we need right now. We have also set up, I say we, Wendy did this, set up a mailing address. And the mailing address is located in the Mount Airy neighborhood of Philadelphia. It is in the Mount Airy post office. So some of you saw the slightly confusing Facebook post. The new office location is not on Germantown Avenue in Mount Airy. The mailing address post office box is, so it is P.O. Box 4959, which is located at 6711 Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia 19119. If somebody goes there to find us, you will be unhappy. You will find the Mount Airy post office, where we have a little teeny box. At the moment, Wendy, Charlie Miller, and I have access to the box because we're all fairly local. Is there anything else in that area that other folks on the board want to add to?
What is the address of the Glenside?
Glenside is technically 33 East Glenside Avenue. I'll give you the actual address, Jim. It is the stretch of Glenside Avenue between Easton Road and Keswick Avenue. It is Bickley Street comes in and dead ends, and it's right behind it. There's a little ice cream parlor and a little cottage called something like Dream Scoops or Scoops of Dreams or something. It's behind that in an industrial office building, an old industrial office building. It ain't pretty, but it's absolutely serving our needs, and it's wonderful. So that's where our stuff is, and eventually our office will be. Such that we're doing so much online now, we don't need a physical office as much at the moment. Somebody asked me somewhere in a Facebook post, maybe, are the phones set up, and is the phone number the same? The phone number will be the same, but the phones are not set up. So years ago we went to a voice over internet phone system, so we can just move that old 247 number with us, and it'll be there, but don't call it now, because I don't know what you're going to get on the other end, and no one's checking it. Certainly, if you need to get a hold of us, please do so by email, friends and community members. Okay, let's talk about finance situation. I think this is a mix of Jim and Kimberly and others. Do you want to go ahead with that, Jim?
Kimberly, I'm sorry, I choked on your name, sent out a notice this morning that had a lot of our information on it. And the thing is, I couldn't make head nor tail out of much of it. But Kimberly, can you put it up on the screen?
Yeah, let me share screens here. Okay, give me one
For you,
second, everyone.
financial
Here we go.
spreadsheet.
Oh, hold it. This is the
There we go.
this is the work of Charlotte Hummel,
Yes.
who sent this out, and this is how we need to have organized the huge amount of data that Kimberly sent out. And so we will get this shortly. The total amount of sales or any partial payments and any payments that might be due. Somebody might have paid $25,000 for all of the old programs and only had $11 on them. So there's a due date. So at any rate, who's scrolling this? Stop.
Oh,
Kimberly,
I
stop
will,
touching it.
I will stop. You tell me where to move it and when.
Up.
Up, okay.
So, we're gonna want revenue expenses at the very top. And after that, we will have, as you can see, I hope, cash on hand and their opening balance in April. So in essence, we'll see cash on hand, maybe it's $31,000, and in April, it was $27,000. So everybody who looks at this splash sheet, I call it a splash sheet, will know kind of what's happened in the last month, what we're still owing, and how we stand with cash on hand. Now, one of the things is that expenses have to do what was paid in the last month. It's not what we owe. It's not the total of what we owe. We'll get to that later. Then we'll have payroll tax. And if we paid, say, some performers, there would be a payee in there, a name, and then there would be a total amount paid out. Okay? So that's what we're going to have to start every month. And cash on hand, and then opening balance on April there, revenue expenses, closing balance as of May 24, 2023. And right now we've been told it's $32,753 with a question mark. And I'm always really suspicious of question marks.
It is actually, as of the last time I checked it this afternoon, it is that 33,073 number.
Okay, great. Okay.
So yeah, for what that. Charlotte, did you want to, since you put this together, did you raised a hand? Did you want to ask or add to this, Charlotte?
Seeing the screen. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I did was I looked at the document that Kimberly sent out, which was great, because she tried to capture all the information, but a lot of questions were raised because of just the way it was laid out. So what I thought we needed to know as a board, a finance committee, and as membership is every month, how much money came in the door and how much money went out of the door. So you can see that from revenue and expenses. So that'll just give us the activity of the particular month. If you go down to cash on hand, and these numbers I did not have, which is why there are no numbers in those spaces. We should start with an opening balance, then add in our revenue, subtract our expenses, and our closing balance should be reflected there. Now, the reason there is a question mark, which I don't like either, is because I understand we paid $320.19 today to the Commonwealth. And if you take $320.19 off of $33,073.14, you get
Right.
$32,753.25. So
That is correct.
I was able to do that. Now, what I didn't understand was, and you can answer these questions at the end of my comments, but what is the Philadelphia Foundation account? What makes some part of it available and the other part not available? you want to answer that question now?
I can speak to that. To my understanding, and Charlie Miller knows this, but he's not with us tonight. Years ago, when the Folksong Society had a lot more money, they opened an account, an investment account with the Philadelphia Foundation, who was doing this with nonprofits in the city. And I think they gave them like $10,000. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it appears that there is a disbursement that is available every year. And in this case, we are now available to use. We do not have it. It is still with Philly Foundation, $1,851.64. The current balance with the Philadelphia Foundation is $14,437.05. At the moment, that $1,800, the $1,851 is still there. And what I have to find out is whether it will actually, leaving it there helps increase what am I going for here? Helps increase what's generated, the interest that's generated in this, or whether it makes no difference. We have to take it out and use it. But
Okay, so I'm familiar with the Philadelphia Foundation, what they call donor-directed funds.
mhm.
And this could either be something that the Philadelphia Folksong Society set up itself and was given an incentive to do so and then can take out X percentage, or it could be a fund set up by somebody else and they have directed that the money go to us, but under certain circumstances. That would just take a phone call to the Philadelphia Foundation by somebody who's authorized to ask what the documentation is on that account so that we know what the terms of payout and pay in.
It is. I did call them as soon as I called them. I sent them a letter. Charlie Miller and I both are authorized to talk to them. This is several months ago, and it was indeed set up by us years ago. It is not a donor advised fund set up by somebody else. It is something that Folksong Society set up that produces a disbursement every year.
It's the beginnings of an endowment. It's an endowment.
If we can just find out the terms of how that, why that number, how it gets dispersed, and do we have to take any action to actually see a check?
Charlotte, I can barely hear you, so if you
Okay,
could.
so going down the screen further, what I did was to separate out our current situation with accounts payable. And I did that in basically 3 different columns with an explanation under notes. So we always know that what our total owed to a particular payee is, how much payment we're making in the period that we're reporting on. So you can see the 862.31, and also I should have left in the payment of the 320. I took that out for some reason, but those should be the payments that we made in the period we're talking about. And then you can see the date that they're due. So some of this still has to be worked on, but this layout will give us an idea of what is critical, what is being paid on a regular basis that no longer needs to be negotiated, what might be small enough to just get rid of. So it just gives us a better sense. And this might be better if we put it in order by descending order by size of the account payable. So
Charlotte?
start with 100,000, 26, and 20, etc.
Charlotte, I'd rather put it in descending order that is related to the festival. Because Pitney Bowes is not related to the festival, it's just our mail machine. Wawa Fleet, I think, is
Festival.
festival.
Right. I'm not sure that at this point we need to identify it that way, although we can always put it in a particular color or put it in because I think that all of these are owed. They're all collectively accounts payable, whether it was the fest or anything else.
I would like us to, you and I differ on that. I would like us to really know what we still owe from the fest and then what we owe from what we're trying to do to turn this around.
Okay. I don't have any strong feelings. What I do have feelings about is the due date and getting those filled in with if they are, you can see, they're overdue from April, but there are probably other due dates that we're not aware of, and I'd like to know what those due dates are, because we can also then look at them on what's the oldest debt.
There was
Right.
another thing in there that some of the people on our board have been negotiating with these creditors.
Right,
And so there needs to be some way of annotating this so that you see negotiating there for articulation.
Mhm.
What, I don't know how we do this in a spread, excuse me, I have the hiccups, in a spreadsheet like this, but I would like us to have some sense of what the negotiations are aimed toward.
right.
Well-
I did capture the negotiation conclusion under United Site Services, where it was indicated that it was negotiated for $500 a month rather than the 1,000 they wanted, but only for 4 months, and then it needs to be revisited. So we can actually put that in there. I think Arctic Glacier negotiation is in process, but I didn't have enough information to say by whom. So, we can put that in notes. That's not a problem.
Yeah, and I was the one who was dealing with their representative. They wanted a guarantee that it would be paid off in 4 months, which I basically said I can't guarantee that.
And you're talking about United Site Services, by the way.
So I got them to agree to the $500 a month for 3 or 4 months, and then them wanting the guarantee that it would be paid is kind of the sticking point. And
Right.
mean, my comment was, isn't it better to get paid $500 a month until we pay it off? Because if they file suit, they're really not going to get anything until we can pay it off, or a couple of years if they actually do file suit.
Right, right. I think when they start seeing the regular payment come in, they might be satisfied.
Well, yeah, it would be that was a discussion we had with them early on, was we can send you something, but it's not the $7,000 a week you're going to want. And they said, no, it must be that. And we said, well, we can't do that. And so this is where we are now.
I would like to know with regard to the other things, where are we with that? Where are we with the PICO bill? Where are we with the royalties? Where are we with the MOU? Is there any progress there, or we haven't gotten to them yet?
The royalties, I believe you're referring to BMI. It's
Yes.
not actually royalties. It's because that sounds like we owe artists money. It is BMI asks for, as does ASCAP and a few other organizations, they ask for payment that they can send toward artists when artist material is performed at a public venue, like a bar or a concert or a venue like the PFS venue. It's usually I don't know, $1,000 a year, something like that. So probably because of the size of the folk festival, it's that big. I don't know how far back that goes, but that's what the BMI is. It is a regular thing that we should pay, and that's why it's on the list.
Okay.
I also want a TP truck equipment. Had a empty trailer. There were 2 empty trailers sitting on the festival site, and they're both gone now. We were actually paying for them empty from August through this spring when we found out they were there. One was Moyer's, and they went and got it, and they even did not bill us for the month they picked it up, which is nice of them. And the other is TP. Actually, it's TP Trailers is the name of the company, and one of our volunteers and members of our organization, Joanne Wadsworth, has been in touch with TP Trailers and has actually made arrangements to pay that amount for us because she's a sweetheart. So we just don't know. I called them today and they said, "Oh yeah, you owe us 580." And I got a hold of Joanna. She said, "No, let me talk to them again because that's not what should be happening." So we're going to find out what's that. And if that's the case, thank you so much. Arctic Glacier, by the way, if any of you forgot, part of the problem there is that a giant truckload of ice melted at the fest because the refrigeration unit meant to keep the ice cold or frozen on their truck crapped out in the field where we were doing ice. And we have felt all along that since it was their equipment that failed in their truck, we shouldn't have to pay for the ice that turned to water. So Cammie Taylor is working with them with that. Pico, you'd be surprised how small that amount of money is compared to what it was when we got our hands on it. The other thing with Pico is that we've been paying two bills. We've been paying the venue in Roxborough, and we've been paying the pole where the electric is at the folk festival site. So that is being turned off because that's problematic. It's also been varying in usage. So someone's tapping into it and using it. And that's not all right. Upper Salford Township is a fairly, this is part of an agreement of the amounts of, basically, we pay them a certain amount per ticket to do the thing in their township. And that money seems that 5,000 might be a little high. Maybe it can be lower than that. I'm not entirely sure. Vimeo, $8,000. Vimeo is the company that hosts our digital archives. So they've got the digital archives from at least the last 4 or 5 years. And we owe them money, and we had actually paid them a little bit to keep things alive. And the last time somebody talked to Vimeo, they said, "Oh no, you're fine. You're paid off." And we knew we weren't. So they figured that out, and they sent us a collection notice this week. United Site Services is what used to be Potty Queen. It is toilets and sinks and washing stations and the fence. And like we said before, we're working on that. CPA is a mix of a lot of work that had to go to make the 2020 financial statement legit and workable. And just so that nobody thinks there's anything funny going on, when we did the Talisk concert, we had no money in our account. And Wendy Fior, board member, came forward and paid the $1,600 deposit that we owed Talisk in order for them to play the show. And Wendy has deferred repayment on that until we are healthier. But at some point we have to give her money back. So that's what that is. And we have documentation of all of that. So it's kind of a mess, but that's where we are. It's not in legitimate financial accounting, general accounting principle structure, but that's where we are.
Okay, the only thing that I would be interested to see if it exists is the Arctic Glacier contract.
Yeah, I agree. I have no way to answer that now.
No, I understand, but that would be something I would take a look at for your liability issues.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Marie Dalton has her hand raised.
Marie, since you've been doing so much of our inputting and bookkeeping for us, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to know, I have finished up to 2021 and I'm in 2022. Is that Arctic Glacier contract from 22? Okay, I'll look for it.
Yep,
I'm just getting into that box, which is a mess. And it may be in there or not. I'm not making promises, but I'll keep my eyes open.
And it is legitimately a box.
It is.
Yep. Eric Robbins, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
The foundation thing, first of all, is a managed endowment. They're managing the endowment for you. The amount available is their spending rate, which their board decides is usually about 5%. So that's the amount that they have to give to you each year well, I don't know that the 18's each year, but their spending rate, the 5% you'll get each year, typically quarterly, they give you the check no matter what. We want it, we need cash flow, we don't want to keep it invested in there. That's what that is. The amount that's available is not in addition to the balance, it's in the balance. So delete it from your spreadsheet. It's not an additional asset. It's in that 14,437.
Okay, very good to know.
Question I have is, when is the line of credit due? What collateralizes it? And are you working with the bank to get it renewed?
We, going back to Rob Braylow, who was the past president when that line of credit was opened up, and referencing Jim Klingler, who was there at the time, we do not believe there was any collateral used. It was TD Bank, with whom we had a couple of accounts at the time. I am under the impression, and I could be wrong, that it is $100,000 that is just, we're paying it off, and it's going to stay there until we pay it off. But it is worth asking the question, and we will do so. Thank you.
So can you still hear me?
Yep.
It will renew annually, the line of credit. So at some point it comes due. I have no idea why a bank would continue to extend one with absolutely no collateral. So I'm concerned on when it comes due. So I do think we should figure that out right away.
Right. That question did come up today before the meeting, and it prompted a query. We're going to get a hold of them and ask, find out what's going on. Thank you. Did you want to add to that, Eric Robbins?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. All right, Dr. Klingler, do you want to continue?
Well, I think Charlotte has covered it really well. One of the things that I want to impress on everybody is that this 177,009, 694.17, I have 17 cents that I'll put toward that, is all speculation. A lot of it is speculation. The Arctic Glacier, the BMI. BMI, we shouldn't book it as something due that is an advance payment in case somebody sings a song. There must be another way to do that, and I don't know it. If Upper Salford Township is thinking about forgiving us or negotiating with us, I know that Kim is talking to them. We need to know it so we can have a cleaner picture of what we owe. Vimeo, it's in collection. They have all of our archives. They don't have all of our archives. They have the last few years of our archives.
And only the digital archives.
And only the digital archives. So somebody needs to talk to them. I would say somebody from an attorney and somebody from the world of digital media. And that's neither one of those is me. But so I think we need to understand exactly how we can get on their good side. One of the things that comes up, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, is why don't we make money off of our archives? And our archives, for maybe the last 20 years or 15 years, have come under a new the contracts with come under new contracts. But the archives from the very beginning, and we have archives going really far back, are not governed by a clause that says that they belong to us. And so when we started showing the archives, I can tell you that a couple of the artists got in touch with us right away and said, when could they expect a check for us showing their work? So we don't own our archives in the sense that we have them physically or digitally. We just have archives, and we have to figure out how to somehow turn those into the gold that they are truly worth.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Are we finished with this document at this point?
I think we are.
Kimberly, did you want to add anything?
No, I just wanted to thank the township, since I'm talking to them, for their patience. I believe they were giving us breathing room to figure out where we were. And, because I remember the day when we had $747 in the bank. I'll probably never forget that number. And so, they're giving us breathing room. So it's just a matter of me now going back to Kevin and the group at the township. So Jim, I can get you that information, but I just want to thank everybody for their patience while we get this all sorted out. And as everyone can see, every month we get better and better. The more we can clear out, the more we can move forward. And that's been our goal the whole time.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm thinking from the Finance Committee's point of view, what numbers, I hate red numbers, by the way. What numbers in that thing are truly due? And so that gets us to the due date. And have been times when we had to pay off certain vendors because they were going to suffer personally if we didn't pay them off. And so we went ahead and moved them up the queue. But there are entities here who won't know from anything if we pay them or don't right away. So somehow the Finance Committee needs to have an understanding of the negotiations going on and those other things. And I have to praise Charlotte for putting this whole thing in the format that the Finance Committee had become used to under Tim. And there are lots of other accounts that people can go into, and we have big spreadsheets. We will have big spreadsheets once we get to that, so that people can get into the minutia. But right now, this is as detailed as we can get. And Charlotte and Kimberly, thank you so much for getting us this far. And we can't forget Wendy, who we owe $1,600 to.
And
she
who's
made
been,
that.
yeah, and who's been
Go
keeping track of a lot of the expenses and a lot of the numbers for us, and that's been wonderful to have that done. Okay, can we move on past finance?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
All right. I would like we need a motion. I'd like to propose a motion to accept the report with all of its warts and problems as it is, as a first step toward getting our financial house in order. So I'd like to motion that we do that.
I second. Or do I motion?
Thank you. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Thank you.
Good. The motion is approved. We've accepted the report, knowing it is wonky, but it's a step in the right direction. Good. Let's move on. All right. Next up is the audit committee. I'd like Eric Ring to take over and say whatever you need to say about where we are with that. We have some good news on that front. Go ahead, Eric.
So, well, the one question is, do we want to talk about the survey or not, or push that?
Let's hold on that. Let's start with the thing involving numbers.
Okay, since we're still talking about numbers and everybody's awake. So the 990 for 2020 has been filed. Yay.
Thank you, Eric.
We got so we wanted to file it by the 15th. We got the compilation from the CPA on the 15th. I was in California in Disneyland. I did the return and we submitted it. So that's the good news for 2020. We can kind of move on. There may be one or two things. There may have been a one loan to one of the board members that we may need to do one small amendment, but it won't affect anything. So But the audit committee met, the audit committee saw the audit from the CPA. They saw the 990, that's where the question came up about the one loan from the officer.
From,
Huh?
Eric, you said a loan from the officer, not to the officer.
From the office, from an
Okay.
officer. So that would have
Okay.
been Rob. Yeah, Rob had, but we're not, I'm not 100% sure whether the loan was made in 2020 or 2021. We knew that it was paid back in 2021. So we're kind of working that part out, but it's filed, we're in good shape. Next is 2021, which we want to get done. Marie has been booking transactions that hadn't been put into QuickBooks. She's reconciling the accounts. There's one account that we are still trying to get statements from, but we think that there's very minor activity in there that won't affect things too much. But once we have 21 finished, and I think the audit committee is kind of going through some things to try to help figure some things out, then we should be able to move forward to get a compilation done, and hopefully just a compilation done for 2021, and then file the 990 for 21, send that to the state also. And my understanding at that point, we pretty much could be right by the state and get our license for solicitation back. I did file an extension for the 990 for 2022, but I would love to get that done, you know, within the next couple months after this, after we get 21 done. So big shout out to Marie, who every time I'm going to be mentioning her because she is doing the lion's share of the work, and it's incredible. But I also want to thank the audit committee with Julie Linehauser, Eric Robbins, who you just heard from, and then Bob Baldwin. And Marie's part of that for now, although she might be shifting over to the finance committee, I think. But again, like, we had a great meeting the other night, and some great questions that are being asked by the people on the committee, and we're moving to the next step.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any issues around that any board members need to speak to or have questions of?
No, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
Eric, what is the ETA best case scenario for getting our license back?
The registration with the state, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So some of it is just a guess on my part. So we need to get 2021, the compilation at least, and the 990 done. I think, and once we get a compilation that we're happy with, the 990 should not be that difficult to prepare and submit. And I have the, because I do tax work, I have the software that I can do that. So I know that Marie has done almost, and she can answer this, up to, I think, December, or she just has to do December of the major account. We have this one small account, which from S&T, where we really need to get the statements from, and I want to get those entered. And then once we have that, I would say maybe within a month or two, you know, hopefully like a month, we could have that done and then submit that to the state. Now, once it goes to the state, it's up for them to review the information and then come back and then basically turn the lever and say, you know, here's your license. That's the part that's kind of out of our control. If they're busy and they put it on a back burner a little bit, but that being said, we have a contact with the Commonwealth. I think we can kind of push them to say, hey, we really need to do this. The other thing is there could be fines that the Commonwealth won't pay.
There are some routine fines for being late that are not a whole lot of money per month, but I asked if, as a struggling nonprofit, we could get those waived, and they said no, that's actually built into the state legislature about legislation about this, and so no, Mr. Thompson, you don't get anything special.
So that being said, like, you know, once we get the final amount and we have that paid, you know, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say, I hope 3 to 4 months from now. You know, if it's 2, great. If it's 3, I think that that's realistic. But it just depends whether we hit a snafu, if, you know, we can't get something, if there's a question that we can't get answered. One of the, I don't want to get into too much, but we have the shuttered venue grant, you know, and there's some questions around that in terms of the spending. I think we're in good shape, but you know, if we hit a snafu with that, I won't know until all the information's kind of logged in and we can see it.
Marie, since you're involved in all of this, go ahead, please.
Okay. I just wanted to reassure you all that the data from TD Bank statements 2021 is all entered. But with the audit committee, there were a lot of questions raised in various areas that I need to do a little more research and fine tune. And it's a matter of coordinating 3 accounts. One is the PNC credit cards, which are no longer active. Jim Klingler and I went as a team and got PNC to, no, they just gave us the statements. We waited them out. And now the S&T Bank. And then once that picture is done, 2021 is done and can go, I think, to where it needs to. I'm giving it over to Eric to finish out the statements. That's why I said I've just opened the box for 2022, because sometimes some of the answers to 2021 is in the next year's box. So that's all. It's there. It's almost done. It's not quite hanging on a precipice.
Thank you so much, Marie. You're wonderful.
No. Just doing my job.
Yeah, but thank you. Thank you for doing it. All right. Let's move on to membership issues. Rob, you want to take it?
Sure, Miles. First of all, I want to echo your statement at the beginning of the meeting and thank our members for, of course, not only buying merchandise, but also for their memberships. From what I can tell, since January 1st of this year, more than $40,000 has come from membership. And most of that has helped what we see in our finances kind of move it closer to a number that we can handle. Before we really get a good grip on the membership and far as what we could serve, we want to understand what the membership wants in the future. And one of the things I can say specifically, of course, is number-wise. We have over 200 new members in the last 4 months. And I can also tell you that we have over 1,000 members, but like you saw with our finances, it's difficult to get exact readings right now. And we appreciate your patience. Part of what's going on is that we're using multiple software so that we're coming up with the exact numbers, I'm hopeful, by next meeting. So what's more important with the membership, though, is that we want to actually generate some membership ideas that can happen. As Miles had mentioned, you have shown a lot of faith in us with the understanding that we can't really produce a lot of activity if we're just trying to get a grip still on where we are with some of the basics. But we do believe now that we are able to use some of the strengths that we have, including our co-op members as well as many kind venues and other people that have come forward, that we can do some sort of activity over the next few months. We'll be letting you know more about that soon. We are making contacts now, and we're also listening to you, as I know there may be some discussion about the survey. One of the reasons we did the survey is to know not only what to do with the festival, but also to understand better what your needs are. And in addition, I know there's been a lot of questions about fundraising. My role on this board is, once we're able to fundraise, to be able to work with the board in that area. And one of the things this survey will do is help us understand our capacity and the attitudes towards fundraising. So there's a lot going on right now with the members as well as with the board, and we appreciate that. We hope that we continue to be able to be patient as we move forward.
Thank you, Rob. Do you want to, while you're here, do you want to talk, since it's sort of membership related, about the co-op ideas and sort of where you're going with that?
Yes, we've had some preliminary discussions with some co-op members, and we'd like to expand that to some additional members. That will be a good cross-section of the co-op. There are 101 current members of the co-op, and many of us do know each other, but there are different segments, just like in any other organization. So we want to have representative membership before we move forward with that. But some of the ideas that have been kind of pushed around right now is, now that we do not have a venue, we still have many venues in the area that would love to have singer-songwriters as well as bands in the folk genre. And we already have been in touch with some of them. There is one particular venue that's very exciting that I won't share with you. I'll let Miles share that we are exploring, or he may choose not to share it till it's a little bit more information. But we are very excited about a number of different opportunities, and we are going to share that once we have more information. It will go out, and we'll be asking questions as well. We won't just be sharing information, but we'll be continuing to ask questions and to get some more surveys out that'll help us shape moving forward. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. There are some possibilities. There are some things in the works, and I don't want to put anything out publicly until we've got stuff nailed down, just because information has a bad way of sometimes getting ahead of us, and I don't want to, I don't want to trip ourselves up. But we are working on some things with some friends who are longtime members of the Folksong Society who are wishing to help us out. So we're going to see where that goes for a performance space for the co-op. Marketing and communications issues. Kimberly.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Miles. Thanks to everyone for joining us this evening. Shout out to the rest of the board for being so awesome to work with. I wanted to give you all some updates for the website, which is something that has been kind of a thorn in our side because we can't really access it for reasons that we've gone into before. But good news, everyone. Rob and I had a meeting with Rich Gobstein, and we are in the process of figuring out how to migrate that website to a new server, which means that we will be able to get new tools and update what's behind there. And every time we have a meeting, we will be able to give you much more accurate numbers and figures, and everyone will get on the newsletter. What I feel like is happening is we've all been working separately trying to fix things, and now we're all getting things fixed, and we're all able to come back together and implement the things that we've been working on. And one of those that has been top priority for marketing and communications is fixing the website. That means the member area, to make sure everybody gets the newsletter. It's just bits and pieces are everywhere, but they are all coming together. So the timeline for that will be between, I don't know, Rich just went on vacation, so I kind of have to wait for him to get back. But as soon as we can initiate this, we will move it. What that means, too, is that we will fire back up the communications committee. So everyone within the next week or two, please check your inboxes, because we need to come up with a website, a path, and copy for all of it. So we get to start fresh, shiny, new for and this is only, by the way, the pfs.org website. But Rich has been very gracious. In fact, the whole IT team has, Rob Mallerman and Lewis Hipkins have been wonderful, and they've been incredibly helpful. So by the next board meeting, I should have much more of an update on that. I also wanted to let everyone know that if you're interested in joining the communications and marketing team, let me know. Happy to have more people. The newsletter went out this morning. I hope everyone got it. I also discovered that there is a link to automatically add yourself to the website, which I will share with everyone on Facebook. Sorry, not the website, the newsletter. If you're not getting it, you can automatically put yourself in. I found that, which was awesome. Also, I fired up Slack channel. It was a misfire because it was one from 2 years ago. So I'm going to reboot that. But for everyone on the communications team, remember we talked about Slack, I will be sending you an invite after the first meeting for that. The other thing I heard is that when we get to our new office, we'll snap some pictures and put those online so everyone can see what that looks like, because pictures are worth 1,000 words. And then Trish Hurley Callahan made a beautiful graphic, and I wanted to just throw out there that the next theme that I'd like to all of us to think about is healing. All of us coming back together, which we have so beautifully up until today, but I want to keep moving that forward because after all, we are a community and we would not be here without each and every one of you. So that's all I've got from marketing and communications, but I just want everybody to know that I feel so hopeful and I'm so energized by, and I think everybody on the board is, by everything that we've accomplished in such this short time. And again, it's all because of you all. So thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Kimberly. All right, I want to do a couple of governance issues. George Ergot, our governance chair, is camping somewhere in a state park where he was pretty sure he wasn't going to get cell reception. And certainly not broadband enough to do this, so he is not with us. Here's just a basic regarding the bylaw vote for the change in the bylaws. It was approved by 99% of the votes that happened last month, and so that has that absolutely passed by the votes of the community and the members, and I thank you for that. Is there anybody else, anybody on the board have a governance issue? I was going to move on to new business. Is there anything floating around that George passed on to somebody?
No,
I think we just need to.
I have a summary of the survey.
Okay.
But getting back to governance real quick, do we need to close the loop officially that the motion was passed to amend the bylaws by like 99%? Do we need to officially put that in the record?
Oh, yes, that needs to go officially in the record, but because we tallied the vote stands on its own. We don't need to have a vote on the vote. So there you go. So those bylaws changes went into effect. Thank you all for your support on that. Okay, so we've got a new business issue. We have an account with S&T Bank, which is a small bank that I didn't even know was in the neighborhood, but is literally across the street on DuPont and Ridge from the old venue. S&T Bank has a safe deposit box in it that is ours. At the moment, it also had an account, an active account. We're pretty sure it was a checking account, but this is one of the things Marie needs to kind of rectify and reconcile the 2021 and maybe 2020. According to S&T Bank, the only people on their list who may access the account are Lisa Schwartz and Justin Nordell. And so I would like to put forth a resolution that we remove Lisa Schwartz and Justin Nordell from the accounts at S&T Bank, and we replace them and add Miles Thompson, Wendy Fuhr, and Charlie Miller. Again, Charlie's not on the board, but he does our bill paying with us. All three of us are local to the bank. And this is actually time sensitive. because the sooner we can get in there and talk to them. I did go in and talk to them during the clean out, but couldn't get very far without a minutes on letterhead from the board saying that I could talk to them. So again, I'd like to put forth a motion that we remove the names of Lisa Schwartz and Justin Nordell from the S&T account and replace them with Miles Thompson, Wendy Fuhr, and Charlie Miller.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion has passed. Good. Once we get that, we can collectively march into the bank and figure out what's going on. That contains our safe deposit box, which probably just has the articles of incorporation, but you know, who knows? Who knows what's in there? Maybe we'll find something neat. It'll probably be something dull, but you know, that's a routine thing for nonprofits to keep their articles of incorporation and their most important papers somewhere outside their building in a fireproof place like a bank. So there's that. Plus, we have to have the records of what we spent the years we had an active account with them. Okay, thank you for that. Is there any other new business from the board that must be addressed?
I'd like to give a summary of the survey.
Yes, please. Let's do the summary of the survey. Dave will get you. Hang on. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I guess I'm just going to read this. And we can post it later. 796 people submitted surveys, of whom 442, or 56%, reported themselves as members, and 354, or 44%, reported as non-members. Compare that to the fact that only 1/4% reported that they had never been to a Philadelphia Folk Festival. It means that nearly all the people responding know what the festival is about. It says nothing at all about whether they know what the PSF does or is about. But we know that 100% of 796 respondents have been to the folk festival. We also know that 232, or 29% of the members, reported that supporting the festival is their reason for being members. This is going to provide us really good fodder for small group discussions and maybe other more refined questions as we go forward. We don't know if anyone knows what the other activities of the PSF engages in, but the survey doesn't now not allow them to just demonstrate that knowledge. Not gotten to the sponsorship question yet. It's worded in such a way that it will make it unclear no matter how the response turns out. We may need to return to this in the future in another survey when the implications of what sponsorship and who could be the sponsor and what sponsorship means. These things are clearer to the society. My first crack at the data tells me that August seems to be the choice, no matter what, no matter how hot or disgusting it is. People have summers planned, and I know that I always set aside the end of August. I used to set aside the third weekend in August, or no, the last weekend in August that didn't contain Labor Day, but we changed that long ago so that people could get their kids away to college. People with college kids or younger might only be able to attend in August. Others with shore or vacation plans might have other dates. The old saying is, you can please some of the people some of the time. You can please few of the people all the time, but I think all of you know that saying. The issue is it looks as though August has been established as the date that people want. July, by the way, finished second. A distant second. Assessing the campground question is proving really difficult. I've reviewed up to 500 of the responses, and they're so mixed, and people took an opportunity with the space there to elaborate. For example, one of the responses was, "I love it" or "love it." And somebody wrote in "love it" and "hate it" all at the same time. And so I think there's a lot more that we need to know. A lot of people said they had stopped coming because of age and health issues, which leads us to better understand somehow the demographics of our membership, which I'm not sure we do understand that. For those who don't camp at the festival, home was number one by far about where they stay. Number two is a hotel. That was a distant second. And a distant third is with family and friends. At this point, I would estimate don't camp with about 40% of the respondents and love it with no embellishments at 55%. The elaborated answers prove a lot of food for thought and discussion. The questions didn't differentiate between heavy and tent camping, so that adds the difficulty of interpretation. The open-ended question improving the campsite will take a lot of time to decipher. The one suggestion that we can all agree with is shade, shade, and more shade. Other topics that came up were volunteer privilege and large compounds of campers, and they're an issue worth addressing. Automobile access, as well as golf cart usage, are also mentioned often. I've been unable to dig into the relative importance of the performers in the program, but will do so by the next meeting. The most difficult task ahead is wading through the very thoughtful responses to the open-ended question at the end of the survey. Any members or non-members with a background in assessing social science data, please contact me and we can get more eyes on the data. It's a treasure trove that ranges from management and programming of the overall festival to vendors to kids program to what does folk mean. So there's a lot that we've learned and a lot of questions that we have generated with this survey. I thank 796 people for taking the time to fill it out. And we got 442 of that supposed 1,000 members that we had to do it. And 354 people who are non-members and who've been to the fest. So we need to investigate that all. So thank you very much. I'm finished with this report unless someone has questions.
Thank you, Jim. At this point, I do want to, unless board members have specific questions for Jim, I want to open it up to questions from the floor. Nothing from the board? Okay. So let's do questions from the floor. And Dave Axler's hand was up first in this round. So Dave, go ahead. What's your question, bud?
Hey, thank you, sir. Regarding the bylaws change, the old PFS website, the members area, has a link to a copy of the bylaws out on Google Drive. You will either want to update what that link points to or remove it. And long-term, let's add a copy of the Articles of Incorporation to that collection. They should be visible to all the members. Finally, I want to jump back to the finances. I noted that there was a payment in April for payroll taxes. Who is on our payroll at this time?
As I understand it, and Eric can answer this better, we, with the state of Pennsylvania, we had payroll broken out into monthly payments over 12 months.
Okay, that explains. Thanks.
Eric, would that be correct?
Yeah, it basically was payroll tax for past payroll that was paid.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, because I was hoping it would go away too, but Charlie Miller said, "Oh no, it's broken out over monthly." So
and I think there should not be any more payroll tax payments.
Right.
for this, from my understanding.
Cool. Steve Ram, go ahead.
Hey, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to try to throw them all out in 3 minutes, Miles, and then the appropriate people can answer. First, big shout out to Eric for doing the tax return. Marie, you're doing a great job, and it sounds like you know what you're doing, which is real important. I'm hoping we'll hear from other finance people that are on either the audit committee or the finance committee. And here's a few of the statements I have and a couple of the questions. Number one, I realize you have to put pennies in that little financial statement that's up, but that is not a financial statement. It is receipts and disbursements. And yes, you got accounts payable mixed in there with cash, and it's okay for the person that doesn't really care about the finances. But it's not going to look anything like the thing the auditors are going to give. Second thing, fact, and Miles, I don't expect you to know this, but the penalties that were discussed are from the IRS. They are not from the state. The state doesn't care whether you do it. They just don't let you.
Steve, there
Yeah.
are penalties for late BCO 10 registration from Pennsylvania.
Okay. However, there are now, even though you've filed the extension, there are now 3 years worth of penalties that start the third year of the 2022, started on May 15th. When you may have gotten an extension, but there's penalties if you're filing it after the due date.
Steve, can just
sure.
Yeah, so for the 2022, with the extension, there shouldn't be penalties as long as we file it by, I think it's like the 11th month, so November.
Okay, probably.
Yeah, so, but there
Okay.
there are penalties probably for 19.
For the other two, and I meant to look it up, but they aren't minor. They aren't minor.
Correct.
Something like $50 a day times 2 years is okay. Okay, now here's my question regarding the finances, the financial statements that I think a number of people would like to know. Number one, for 2020, and Eric, you can answer these questions, please. Did we get an audit or a compilation?
Compilation.
You got a compilation. So earlier you said we got the audit. So I just want to make sure, since it's being recorded, we have everything.
I fell into the same trap that I've been like chastising people.
I understand it, but since it's recorded, I know what you're doing. Okay, so you got an audit and you did the tax returns.
Yeah, we got a compilation. And
you got a compilation and you got the tax returns. Have copies of those been given to the board? Both of them. And hopefully the board has read them and asked any questions. At this point, I'll ask also, will either of these be available for the members to see? And what's the timing on that? Let me go through all the questions. You can answer them all at one time. The fee for there was a fee for the 2020, which was on the outstanding bills. Do you know what the fee is for and has it been paid? It should be on there for doing the 2021. And I guess you're not having a liability yet for 2022, but that's it. I think I had one more question. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. But because that was holding us up, I'm wondering if in fact members will have an access to see these, and they will be discussed. And lastly, is there a engagement letter for 2022 already? And then I'm done.
Yeah, so for 2020, there was an engagement letter, kind of modified a little bit because I ended up doing the 990. We have not gotten a final bill from the CPA firm for 2020, but they had said that it was going to be around that $5,000 for the compilation, but we still need to get a final bill from them. For 2021, there is not an engagement letter at this point. We are basically kind of discussing how we want to handle it to see if we can reduce some costs. But still be obviously compliant with what we need to do. I will still do the 990, which should save the society money for that. And then we haven't even gotten into 2022 yet, but you know, we will. In terms of the availability, I am going to punt that to Kimberly, maybe.
Before you go away with that,
Steve, you've gone way over time. We got to keep moving. You
Go ahead.
can't ask anymore. I'm sorry.
okay,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
Let's
That's
answer
fine.
let me answer the ones you have asked already, and there have
Good.
been many. We are going to post as we promised, financial documents on the website, as we have, or through a link on the website, one or the other. As we have mentioned, the websites are falling apart. They're literally crumbling around us. So it is possible that we're trying and things are not getting up there. We're not trying to hide stuff. We're not trying to be disingenuous. When we get the new servers and websites up and running, that stuff will be in a more obvious place. For obvious reasons, it needs to be in a membership area, but it should be something that's easily accessible to everyone and not hidden somewhere in some broken corner of the website.
I'd like to add that we're going to post in accordance with the bylaws.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Mara Levine, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Couple things. One, I have
You have just
I got muted
disappeared.
again. I don't know how that happened. I volunteered to help out with the PASA PFS open mic. If there's hosting with Rob. And
Yes.
then, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I alluded to a possible support change in open mic with Miles, but I did not specify any of the details yet. I wanted to discuss that more, but thank you.
Yeah, not going into detail, just saying in general, I'm volunteering to help run that. Also, I had signed up for the communications committee, and I'm just not sure if my email's not through or we haven't gotten stuff yet. I haven't seen anything come through about an assignment for me, which is fine, but just wanted to let you know I haven't seen emails come through yet.
Real quick, Mara. We had an original meeting of the communications committee. Then I went underground, put my head down, and fixed a bunch of stuff that no one can see, like the rest of us have been doing. So now that I've gotten clearance that we can move the website, I'm going to get back to the communications committee
Right.
toot sweet, because we need to do a lot of things. And I know
Right.
there's a lot of amazing people on it. So thank you for your patience. I super appreciate it. But now, you know, now that I'm going to Picard this. It's like engaged. Now that we've gotten the
It's
green light.
not a problem or an issue, just wanted to let you know, because I know initially there were issues with people not getting communications,
Yes.
and I just wanted to put it out there.
You're
That's
getting
all.
the newsletter, right? You're getting the newsletter? Did I fix
No,
that?
I don't think I
Oh,
got a
come on.
newsletter. No.
Dang. Okay, I'll check
And I
on it.
signed up a couple times, so I'd love to get it.
I thought I put you in. Okay, anyway, we'll discuss this offline. We'll get it
All
sorted.
right, that's basically all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Mara. Annie,
Yeah, hi, Jim. I'm volunteering to help you with data. Okay, I'm good at this, and I'm a good communicator.
On Ben. Thank you.
thanks, Annie. Terry,
Hi, I have donated to the PFS in the past and through my donor advisor fund. If I continue to do that, of course, unsolicited from you guys, where do I send that? And is that still tax deductible?
yes, we haven't lost our 501c3
Okay.
with the federal government. That's still active. And you send it to the address that is on the Facebook pages, and I'm going to read it to you right now. I just have to open it up. It's a mailing address. It's a post office box.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, sorry, I got to find it. Mailing address, P.O. Box 4959, 6711, Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia, 19119.
Okay, and if I wanted to dedicate the funds to a certain area, certain debt that's outstanding, who would I talk to about that? Who would I contact?
I'd say talk to me first off the bat. So M. Thompson at pfs.org.
Okay, I will contact you offline.
Yes, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your support.
That's it.
Thank you, Terry. Eric and Jenny.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Two things. One, I support small businesses, but I wonder if we really should be in a very small bank at this point due to the financial ups and downs lately. A larger bank might be a safer place to put anything that we have. Also, in terms of the questions on the survey, I love open-ended questions myself. But I wonder if doing ranking questions where you've got some numerical, you know, your first choice, your second choice, and so on, for various questions might be an easier way to get a quantitative result from surveys.
I'll comment on that, Miles. It's an easy way to get a quantitative thing, but you need to know what to place as 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to know more and more about the subject than meets the eye. So it's very hard to put together those types of things. They are wonderful for crunching data, but they're not good for understanding.
And if I could tag, I just want to tag on real quick. That is the first of several surveys that we will be sending out. By no means was that one and done. Because we'll send more out and we'll let you all know as we've been doing. So just wanted to let you know more are on the way. So thank you.
Good. Thanks, Jenny. David Skeena, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. 3 questions. One is the premise for not back in January, February was we were so far in debt we could not have a festival. And I guess the implication was once we pay down that debt, we can have a festival. So the question is, at what point or how much do you pay down of the debt before you definitely can determine we have a festival? Second question is more directed at Rob. Once we get the BCO, what does he think we can raise in money? So I'll stop there. You guys can answer. Thank you.
That's certainly a reasonable question. One of the reasons why we're surveying and asking questions in terms of kind of attitudes. But, you know, for an organization this size, I've been an executive director of an organization this size, and it did not have the level of membership support that this one has, and it was easily able to raise, you know, $300,000-400,000. But the difference here is that this organization has never had an infrastructure for fundraising. It really has just had a little bit here and there. There's been no central plan. So we have to develop that infrastructure. And the goal would be to have enough funds raised both to supplement the festival as well as to maintain the Folksong Society. So it'll include, hopefully, diverse revenue streams. One of the reasons you saw that corporate question, it was vague intentionally, which we'll be digging deeper into that question in terms of attitudes towards, you know, corporate sponsorships. And what we found, surprisingly so far, is that while people don't like them, they understand that it might be a necessity at some level. So the donor base is also the membership. And what Jim pointed out earlier is that we have very, very excited and energized people, of which half are not even members yet. So it's going to be interesting to see whether you can turn non-members into donors or whether all of our excited people are going to become members. But we haven't yet been able to move that forward without the BOC. So I hope that answers some of your questions.
And
the first one.
And that answered, I think, the second one. Your first question, what would be the point at which we say, oh yeah, cool, we're good to have a festival? I don't know where that is. I don't know what that point is. The likelihood that a nonprofit like this ever gets completely out of debt is very limited, because it is completely normal to carry debt from one year to another. I think it's really going to depend on the combination of the debt load and money that has been raised and sponsorship and grants and other things that say, good, we are healthy enough now to do what we all want to do, which is to put on a festival in 2024. So I can't answer it and give you a hard number because I don't know.
Okay, well, you guys are doing a really good job on keeping membership energized and active, because that's really your only revenue right now.
Right.
So you absolutely need that to keep going, or at least pay off the payables, but not the TD Bank part.
Right. And I just, and thank you, Dave. Thank you. And just to back
I'm going
up.
to sign off. I'll listen.
Thank you, Dave. Jenny French brought up a point, and TD Bank is actually a fairly big bank. They are actually Canadian, but this is their North American side. S&T Bank, the little one across the street, is a little bank, but we don't have a whole lot in there. In fact, the only thing we've got there now is the safe deposit box. So your point is one of good concern about the size of banks in our current national financial situation. So thank you. Carolyn B., go ahead.
I want to thank you very much for the survey, and thank you for reading it, compiling it, and taking it very seriously. I've been going to the festival since the 70s, and we get these surveys every year. And this is the very first time I feel like it's actually being heard and responded to, and I'm thrilled. And thank you very much for all your valiant efforts and dedication in saving our festival. Thanks.
Thank you, Carolyn. I see no other hands raised. It has been brought to my attention, thank you, Julie Linehauser, who's so good at this stuff, that the last motion that we voted on, which was to remove Justin and Justin and Lisa's names from the S&T account and add me, Wendy, and Charlie, I made that motion and I can't as the president. So we're going to redo that. So I need somebody else to make the motion and somebody else to second it.
I moved it. Yeah, I moved that we remove Lisa Schwartz and Justin Nerdell, and that we should add Miles Thompson, Wendy Scher, and Charlie Miller to the S&T Bank.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
There we go. Thanks. Thank you, Julie. I just would hate to have it actually fall apart on a technicality. So cool. Annie S., go ahead.
Me?
There you are.
I just had one other thing to say. The 990 becomes a public document on GuideStar as soon as the feds release it to GuideStar. So I've looked at the last one. It was 2019. So that was my last comment. Thanks.
Thanks. Levi, my old friend, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Maybe you mentioned this because I noticed there were attorney's fees. I don't know if they're related to the bankruptcy piece. I missed that as I was putting toddlers to bed. But I'm curious if they're related to lawsuits pending against the society, or if there's anything of that nature we should disclose to the membership.
Anything that is still an active legal discussion must remain confidential. And that's what I mentioned the last time the question came up about lawyers' fees. Once that is all cleared, it will become transparent and spoken about, but it is not something for legal reasons we can discuss at the moment. Sorry.
In other words, you can't comment on how many lawsuits or if there are any.
I cannot comment on either of those things. That's correct. But don't make it sound like we got a barrage of lawsuits going on, because we don't.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Levi. Somebody is simply there as the iPhone. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, because it's Michael Lazarus.
Hi, Michael.
It wouldn't respond to U6, and I don't know why it didn't come out with my name. I'm on the Zoom app. I'm sorry. So just a brief question about your exciting moving new servers and all that. I'd like to volunteer to assist with resources or recommendations. I know people that could host, for instance, the Vimeo thing. Probably could have gotten all that for free. 35 years of running IT consulting companies. I know a lot of people, and I'm hoping, regardless of whether my services are needed, that we do some kind of bid or comparative pricing in terms of hosting services, web development services, and those types of things. That's my recommendation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and that is the intent. And I'm sure either I or somebody will be reaching out to you for a further discussion about that. Thank you very much, Michael. Alex Core, go ahead, my friend.
Do you need any help with the setting up of the new office space? You know,
Yeah.
reorganizing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, mostly what we need is help at literally it's putting desks together because we dismantled desks and tables to get them in the U-Haul truck. And I will need that help. This week is getting hairy for me. There are some things in my personal life that have come up that I'm going to need to deal with. I have a family member, not very terribly close, but who is dying, and it will probably be in the next 36 hours. So I'll be dealing with that. Again, it's not something that's going to derail me, but it is going to take my time. And then we're going to find ourselves in the weekends, and I think people on the board need to take a freaking break because we've been running nonstop. So it probably won't be till after the holiday weekend that we'll put out that call. Thank you, Alex. Somebody else had a hand up and it disappeared.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Did you want to add something, Charlotte? Maybe not.
Yes, here I am.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Miles, I'm going to send you an email or text, and I'd like to talk to you at some point about what you are or are not able to discuss in public when it comes to things like lawsuits and other things. There are some things you can say, but you cannot say anything that will jeopardize the legal status. So
Correct.
we can talk about that.
We
Okay?
will do that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Joanne Wadsworth, my friend, my TP trucking angel. Go ahead.
How can I find out what committees need help?
Well, we're several steps away from getting a hold of committee chairs and talking about what we need to
I
do.
don't think she means for the festival.
No, even not with the board too.
The board. All right.
Wherever I can help.
Okay, let's put it that way. Let's put that in the hopper, and I'll hang on to it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. So we don't seem to have any more questions. I want to thank you all for joining us. Sorry, brain went out the window. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for your patience. And thank you, the board, for your hard work and your discussions. Thank you, Six, for helping us run this thing. You're wonderful. Thank you, Charlotte, for your help with the finances and advice. And everybody else who chimed in with advice along the way. Thank you very much. The meeting I'm going. Somebody needs to make a motion that we need to make a motion that the meeting is adjourned.
Seconded.
The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all.